This is a reservoir built by the charity Amref. It offers some hope of salvation for the Turkana still living here. But as the only major source of water for miles around, it's become a focus for cattle rustling.
I heard gunshots. I knew straight away that a posse had stolen our cattle. I chased them through the thicket over there. There was a gun battle, and we managed to save our animals. That's why you can see these cattle around us here today. That was just a few days ago. We killed 15 of the enemy, but 6 of us were shot, and 3 killed.
Are you having these battles regularly now?
It happens all the time. The enemy is always around here, following us and our cattle.
In the West, people think of climate change as something that will happen in the future. Out here, it's already the reality. The real tragedy for the Turkana is that they have very little impact on the planet. But as the cycle of drought accelerates and the violence increases, the Turkana may have to abandon their way of life in a bid to survive. South of the arid Turkana region lies Kenya's Rift Valley province. It's the most fertile part of the country. But here too, the battle for resources has frequently erupted into conflict. In January 2008, members of rival tribes fought vicious street battles, triggered by the disputed results of the national elections. Hundreds were killed, tens of thousands displaced. It's much calmer now, but the evidence of the conflict is everywhere. Emeka Enono has been investigating a precarious peace.
The scale of the destruction is staggering. It looks like it's been bombed out, but actually that's people's bare hands. And the other thing that strikes you is that the violence is very targeted. If you look at this building, it's been burnt out, but next door, a hotel from another tribe has been left alone. The root cause of this violence is ownership of the land. Traditionally, this area was populated by a tribe called the Kalenjins. But since independence in 1963, members of Kenya's dominant tribe, the Kikuyus, have moved in. When a Kikuyu candidate won the 2007 presidential election, the result many believe was a fix, it unleashed decades of resentment. The Kalenjin took to the streets, attacking their Kikuyu neighbours. I talked to some of the young Kalenjin involved in the violence.
Rift Valley belongs to Kalenjins, and it seems that the Kikuyus want to grab the area because it is very resourceful. They want to grab everything.
So are you saying the violence was justified? How about you?
Okay. Actually, you know, it was the voice of the weak.
It was the
voice of the weak.
The voice of the weak.
Yeah.
Okay.
People are fighting to have at least something in life. When we are poor, peace can never prevail. So we are fighting for the little that we have.
The tribal violence soon spread across the entire country. This is Nakuru, the capital of the Rift Valley province. Here, Kikuyu gangs swept into town to attack the Kalenjin with horrifying ferocity. Ruth Cheptaris witnessed it.
People with masks came and they started even burning here. Women were crying, shouting, And then they told them, if you don't want us to kill you, you just go away and leave this plot to be burned.
Much of the violence was orchestrated by well-prepared Kikuyu death squads. On the first night, 89 people were murdered. Describe the sort of killings that took place.
They were cutting their pennies. So they were dying life like this because they are cutting, they start bleeding. Yeah. And then they were putting them into their mouth. It was a terrible thing that I am praying that it will not happen again.
The memories of what happened are never far away. This woman is clearly distressed. She's shouting Nakuru curfew, still haunted by the nights when the police tried to shut down the town.
Now this lady, I think she's traumatized. When you see people around here, you think everything is normal. Yeah.
But
it's not normal, yeah, because it was terrible. It was terrible.
By the time a peace treaty was signed, 1,500 people were dead and 300,000 displaced. The government insists that the trouble is now over. But a year on, thousands are still too frightened to go home and are living in camps. I headed out into the countryside to meet some of the Kikuyu militia who were responsible for much of the killing. It's all very cloak and dagger. They're in the trees watching us, apparently. They only agreed to talk to us on condition that we disguise their identities. We're hearing stories of people that have been beheaded. Have you been associated with that type of violence?
Cutting
Yeah.
that one is accepted.
It's accepted.
It's accepted.
And that's what you do?
And that's why we have this. We have these knives. These are very sharp knife. And this one, can't you see? It's very flexible.
Yes.
How many did we manage to kill?
I think it was 8.
Oh, there were 8 of them.
8.
Yeah.
These men clearly don't accept that their fight is over.
I was grazing around there.
They are preparing for more violence. What is this?
This is now our traditional gun.
Traditional guns?
We can construct 10 to 15 a day.
10 to 15 a day?
Yeah.
Okay.
You see, this is the tree gun.
Okay.
You just hold this one. You do this one.
Yes.
Then you put the live bullet.
Okay.
We make it, we use it here. If we just fix it there.
Okay, okay. No, let's just take it out of there for the time being. We can see where that goes.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. No problem.
I just think that if that gun goes off, I think everybody will die.
Yeah.
Okay, great. There's little here to suggest that peace will be long-lasting. In 2012, Kenyans will go to the polls again to elect another president. And I can't help but feel that this region of the rift could erupt in violence again.
It was time to head for Nairobi, the Kenyan capital on the edge of the Rift Valley. Like cities across the developing world, Nairobi is expanding rapidly. Many people have come here from the Rift, seeking homes and work. 60% of Nairobi's population live in slums. A short drive from the city centre is Mathare, home to 500,000 people. Mathare has a terrible reputation. Its complex of alleyways is notorious for gang crime, drug dealing and prostitution. But my welcome couldn't have been warmer.
We're being followed by a small army of excitable children, which I think generally is always a good thing. Over here, we can get a view, hopefully, of the whole area. We're just going past, oh my God, look at the size of this place. Look at the sheer scale of it. So you can see all these corrugated shacks are houses. These are people's homes.
Photographer Julius Mwelyu was born and grew up in Matare. He now runs a photography foundation for children of the slum.
I was getting a lot of pressure from these kids because they were like telling me, you have been taking photographs of us, but you don't even show us how to use the camera. You see?
So they hassled you into teaching them how to take photos?
Yeah. So I decided to do something for my community.
Julius's photos of the post-election violence in Matare won critical acclaim across the globe.
I knew straight away that Opossa had stolen our cattle. I chased them through the thicket over there. There was a gun battle, and we managed to save our animals. That's why you can see these cattle around us here today. That was just a few days ago. We killed 15 of the enemy, but 6 of us were shot.
South of the arid Turkana region lies Kenya's Rift Valley province. It's the most fertile part of the country. But here too, the battle for resources has frequently erupted into conflict. Out here, it's already the reality. The real tragedy for the Turkana is that they have very little impact on the planet. But as the cycle of drought accelerates and the violence increases, the Turkana may have to abandon their way of life in a bid to survive.
And 3 killed.
Are you having these battles regularly now?
It happens all the time. The enemy is always around here, following us and our cattle.
In the West, people think of climate change as something that will happen in the future. This is a reservoir built by the charity Amref. It offers some hope of salvation for the Turkana still living here. But as the only major source of water for miles around, it's become a focus for cattle rustling.
I heard gunshots.